Hey everyone, it's Paul Kagabine with the Garland County Library, and thank you for joining us, not live, recorded for the first time, for the newest installment of the Arkansas Highlands Folk Project video series. And to my right, left on the screen, is Charlie Moore, who is the founder of the Arkansas Highlands Folk Project and one of my favorite and most difficult people to work with.
Why do you say that, Paul?
I think you know, Charlie.
Oh,
And then I think the audience knows too if they've tuned in enough.
I think so.
So what do you have to talk about today?
Well, we have an exciting show today. Even though this is recorded, I think it's going to answer a couple of questions for some folks that have been lingering. Number one, I've had a couple of complaints, and that is we haven't had music on the last couple of shows. Tonight, we're going to have a concert at the end of our discussions here that I think everyone will enjoy. The folks that attended it in person earlier or late last year enjoyed it a lot. So we're going to do that. But before we do that, Liz Colgrove, representing the Hot Springs Area Cultural Alliance, and I are going to talk about Arts in the Park, the festival coming up the end of April. Before we do that, though, a little bit of news that has popped up on the Arkansas Highlands Folk Project screen here lately. Because of a comment, a lot of comments, I want to thank folks for attending the program with the Garland County Historical Society and the Montgomery County Heritage House with Barry Mickey. A lot of folks seem to enjoy that, and we're glad you did. However, Barry forwarded me a correction. The Sorghum Festival, the annual Sorghum Festival, which you do not want to miss, is on October the 8th, which is a Saturday, not October the 2nd, which we said previously. So change your calendars to October the 8th. A lot of fun stuff going on over there. Plus, I think we're going to have some Arkansas Highlands Folk Project musicians performing during that festival. Let's see, I have the privilege of being a presenter for the Garland County Historical Society in March, which will be held, I think, in this very room, possibly.
Stay tuned.
If it's virtual or whatever. And that will be covering the history of traditional music in the Ouachita Mountains. And over the last few months, we have a lot more to share. We have uncovered some of the mysteries of the old-time music in the Ouachita Mountains. So there. And finally, by request from at least one other person, maybe many, the library now has access to all the previous episodes of the Arkansas Highlands Folk Projects, which are kind of a historical documentary of Paul and my pursuit of the history of Ouachita Mountain music. So that's about it, Paul. What next?
Well, in order to access all of those archive videos, just go to the library's Facebook page or YouTube channel. And if you look at the videos, each one has their own video tab, and you can search for Arkansas Highlands Folk Project, and all the previous episodes will pop up.
Perfect. Okay. I guess are we ready for Liz to take your place?
Musical chairs.
Thank you, sir.
Now I have the pleasure of working with Liz, who is, we've already introduced her. We're going to talk about the Arts in the Park.
Thanks, Charlie. I'm very excited. Some of you may have seen in the Sentinel Record that we have announced our theme for this year's Arts in the Park as Cultural Roots. It's celebrating and honoring our artistic roots cross-culturally and cross-generationally. We're going to highlight folk-type art in every form, but also look at the modern versions of that art. So a lot of people have asked, if I do quilting, is it okay that it's, more not hand sewn, it's done on a more of a computer than a machine? And absolutely, all art forms that have, historic roots in any creative or cultural field are welcome as part of our program. We aim to be inclusive of any and all cultural heritages and are focusing on those that we have represented here in Arkansas. So any cultural roots of our friends and neighbors, anyone down here, if there's anything that you want to show, we're going to try and highlight it. So I want to come on here today to announce more specifically some of the programming that we're going to have at this year's Arts in the Park that is heritage focused. And if I didn't mention it already, Arts in the Park is from April 29th to May 8th. It's a 10-day festival and there's events all over town. Plenty to do, lots of fun. Okay, so our heritage focused events are our Art Moves exhibition is along the Hot Springs Creek Greenway Trail. There's going to be somewhere between 10 and 15 two-dimensional pieces of art printed onto metal, and then you can just walk along the creek and walk around the trail at Hot Springs Creek and look at the various art that's been submitted, and each piece will have a QR code attached that will explain the history of the piece and the artist bio and give you all the information that you need. So you can take your kids to the little playground right there. The entrance is off Hollywood, and walk on down. There's also that new little fitness area. So Art Moves, keeps your body moving, keeps your family together.
Yes.
Yes.
I think we're going to have some traditional music out there on the Greenway, possibly.
Is that happening?
It's going to happen.
Excellent. So the opening for Art Moves will be Friday, April 29th. And I've just gotten the secret confirmation that we will have live music at that event. Very exciting. Thank you, Charlie. And then on that same day, which I think will also have live music happening, we will be opening our Disfarmer photo exhibit. Mike Disfarmer is an Arkansas native that did portrait photography during kind of Depression era and beyond. And he was very famous for taking such specifically intimate portraits of people just in their natural environment. So whatever, you know, the farmer still covered in the field, and just he had a way of capturing their portrait that kind of captured their soul. So we will have that exhibit at the Hot Springs Convention Center, and that will have a photography workshop attached to it and live music at its opening. We are going to have a lot of quilting at Arts in the Park, an exhibition with emergent arts, and a workshop with hopefully a extension of that at the Garland County Library, talking about the history of quilting and sewing as far as apparel or blankets or wall art, whatever it may be. In addition to that, we're going to have other programs at the Garland County Library, including a rope braid basket making workshop with Donna Donahoe and a few others we're still working on. Can't quite announce them yet. Then we'll move on to Art Springs, which takes place on Saturday, April 30th and Sunday, May 1st. And that's our big 2-day jury art festival that takes place at Hill Wheatley Plaza. And to celebrate cultural heritage, we'll have Native American dancers, square dancing from Levi and Lace, students from Philander Smith College, Arkansas Highlands String Band. And then I'll let you know some of the rest of the music stuff.
Okay.
And then in addition to all of our typical events at Arts in the Park and Art Springs, we're going to have lots of kids-focused activity like chalk walk and a mural workshop. And then we'll close out our 10-day festival with studio tours and gallery walk. So what's most important right now, aside from the exciting things we have coming up, is that we want to make sure that all cultures and heritage are represented as possible. Or if you have an art or anything that you want us to help bring to the public, just shoot me an email at liz@hotspringsarts.org, or go to our website, www.hotspringsarts.org. Or you can find us on Facebook and just let us know if there's something that you think we need to include, and we can try and work on it. Or if you have something that you'd like us to know about to present as an artist, please reach out. And then Charlie, do you want to talk a little more about the music?
Sure. Yeah. That's what I like to talk about more than anything. The whole event, the whole period of the event is going to be totally family friendly, very child friendly. And our focus is on Friday and Saturday and Sunday, actually, of what would that be, the last 2 days of April and the first day of May. So that's kind of when a lot of the activity. We're bringing some folks in from out of town to be part of the traditional music performers. Our highlight performance on Saturday evening, which is April the 30th, and it's going to begin somewhere around 6. And this whole thing is still a work in process or progress. So we may have a few additions and things that make it even more fun. But Sad Daddy is going to perform Saturday night. And I think he's one of the more popular bands in Hot Springs. But we're going to have we're going to have some fun with Sad Daddy and the group. And if you haven't seen them before, this is a great time to make time to come down from about 6 till 9 or 10. And quite frankly, if as many people dance during this thing as I've heard, we may be up till 10 o'clock with dancers. And to that point, we are looking for groups or folks that would just like to come down and dance. And old time dance, which was called buck dancing or jig dancing, it didn't require couples. A lot of it was individual. It's not complicated. We're going to have some folks there early to show you how to get by buck dancing, and it won't take you long to be really enjoying yourself. And so please stay tuned for that. We are looking for musicians to participate in our open jams. We're going to have several areas around the festival area where we're going to jam as often and as much as folks want to. Some of it will be old time jams, traditional old time pre-bluegrass, and some of it will be bluegrass, country, gospel, whatever the participants would like to do. But bring your instruments and your voices, and be ready to show off our heritage, our local heritage. Let's see. And if you do have any questions, feel free to call me or email me or let me just have Paul put the email address up and my phone number. And if you have some questions about participation or what's allowed and what's not allowed or whatever, I think anything goes. But don't be bashful about trying to participate with the festival.
So one hugely important thing that I failed to mention was that we will have the second annual Henry Glover songwriting competition. This is a program we premiered last year honoring Hot Springs native Henry Glover. And we will also have that at Art Springs this year. So the call will be put out shortly asking for participants and entries. So all of you songwriters or budding songwriters, you don't have to be a singer. Doesn't matter if you can carry a tune. We're just judging based on the songwriting and quality of the lyrics. So that will also be part of the Art Springs programming on Saturday, April 30th.
Okay, I think we've covered everything.
I think so.
Good job.
Thanks, Charlie.
Okay, Paul, I think now we're ready to start the concert. And this concert was live in October. It was sponsored by the Garland County Library, 420 East Stephen there, and we were at the food truck park. And Becky Comstock's Raymond James office were our sponsors. We had a big crowd, had a good time, and somehow we turned up with a video of it. So we're going to share that and see you in another month, and hopefully see you at the Arts in the Park Festival. Because I missed out on part of it because I forgot, and I didn't want to miss out on anything, so we did that.
Does anybody know the name of that tune?
This is your pop quiz.
Come on.
let's see, a hint.
It's your state.
Starts with,
She gets an A.
It's our state song, or one of them anyway.
And
All
the
right.
state instrument is. Yay, got it. Okay, we're gonna play another tune called The Snake River Reel.
Snake River Reel.
Snake River Reel. Most of the tunes we play are old tunes like pre-1940, but that one just happened to be a newer tune written probably in the 70s, but still has that old-timey sound, so that's what we aim for.
Let me introduce the band. The band is the Arkansas Highlands String Band, and it evolved from the Arkansas Highlands Folk Project, who, thanks to the Garland County Library over there, helped sponsor 2.5 years ago to put on some shows to focus on our heritage music and culture. And that's what we still do today. And that's kind of why we talk about the songs. And there's another pickleball buddy wandering up here. Pickleball buddy, pickleball. In any case, the band, back to the band. Arkansas Highlands Folk Band, Folk String Band. Tom Sartain on the end on guitar. And a while ago when he didn't play for just a moment, you noticed the bass was missing. That shows how integral each instrument is in a small string band like this. Number 2, Jenny Sartain on
On the banjo.
Jenny Sartain on banjo. Tom and Jenny play regularly at the Arkansas Folk Center, and in fact they played the matinee performance yesterday in Mountain View. And if y'all have not been to Mountain View, you can get plenty of this old-time music, plus the bluegrass and all the other cultural features at the state park. And finally, Judy Warner from Sheridan. She is actually a fiddle and violin teacher. She can explain the difference if she'd like to, but we played in Sheridan last week and watched her students perform, and my, Judy's doing a great job, and they're doing a great job of preserving this old-time music. Judy, you want to take just a second to talk about the fiddle? You seem to be pretty darn proud of it.
Yeah, the fiddle and the violin are basically the same instrument, and most people say it's just the way you play it that's the difference. But some people will even say some of the parts are different, like the violin has strings, and then the fiddle has strings. So, anyway, and Charlie Moore is our famous banjo player here on the side, and
I was adopted by these three. They're the real musicians. I'm just up here for commentary, I guess.
You're our eye candy.
Well, that's the first time I've been called that in a long time. Okay, what's up next, guys?
Oh, Soldier's Joy.
Soldier's Joy, an old English tune. A lot of our tunes came from the British Isles, and this is one of those.
And the lyrics to that Soldier's Joy. Soldier's Joy is kind of a renowned Civil War tune as well. It came from the British Isles, but and that Soldier's Joy was referring to the things that they could use for pain relief when they were working on wounded. So it's not a happy song. It's a great song, but the lyrics are not very happy because it was about morphine and whiskey that they could use to ease the pain, so to speak. For those of our performers that are performing tonight that travel, these three and Roy Bookbinder, there is a little tip jar up here if you have a little extra gas money you'd like to put in there. It's actually a milk bone deal, so if it doesn't need to be used for gas, we're going to use it for milk bone purchases. But anyway, please be generous if you can. This music was always made for enjoyment and not for profit. And now we found out that we can make money playing this music. We have found that we can make tens of dollars doing this. And we enjoy every minute of it.
If anyone feels like dancing, and I don't know if you would on a hot day like this in the gravel, but you can get on the tables and dance, I guess. This music is made for dancing, so feel free. Little Spotted Pony.
just see the pony kind of loping across the pasture.
Appropriate for this town, right?
It is. We do that a lot out at Oakland. We should start playing in Oakland during the race.
Are called breakdowns, something you kind of square dance to. And the form of entertainment back in the early 1900s and 1800s was just to get together on Saturday nights and have a big square dance, and there'd be a fiddler and maybe a guitar player or a banjo that would accompany sometimes just one fiddle player. That's why the fiddle player got drunk. He didn't have to share his proceeds with anyone else.
All to himself. Speaking of, our next tune is called Whiskey Before Breakfast. Yeah.
I've been asking Jenny. I've known Jenny and Tom for 4 years, and I've been to breakfast with them several times. And they never offered whiskey before breakfast.
Well, we drink it all before you get up, Charlie. Well, this has several different names. If you don't want to say whiskey before breakfast, you can call it something else like spirits in the morning, or what? You had another name for it, right?
Pepsi after midnight.
I like whiskey before breakfast.
Anyway, whatever you want to call it, it's all right.
Thank you.
Roscoe. Now we've got one called Roscoe. A lot of times these tunes were named after people. If someone was playing a tune and they didn't know what the name of that tune was, or if the tune didn't have a name, it would just get named after the person who was playing the tune. So this guy's name was Roscoe, so this tune is called Roscoe.
This next one has some influence of the blues in it. You probably hear some of those little twangy flat notes in it.
We can't hear you.
Just turn me down too far. Mine is feeding back sometimes. That's why we're having trouble getting the right volume. So this next one's a little bit bluesy sounding, and it's called Southern Aristocracy. Is that okay now? Yeah. Can you hear now? Okay. So Jenny's getting back her bigger banjo.
This one. Regular sized.
Regular
I
size.
did not leave this one out in the rain.
I used to think my dryer was making all my clothes shrink, like her banjo did. But actually I found out it was my refrigerator.
Or maybe if I put my ukulele in the refrigerator, it'll get bigger. Maybe. Shoes and stockings. The next tune. In the key of G.
I like that too. It's kind of fun and bouncy.
Okay. We'll slow it down a little bit now and do a waltz for you. This one's called Chicago Waltz. You learned that one from Billy? Did you learn that one from Billy Matthews? We learned this one from a fiddler that comes to Mountain View and hangs out with us and teaches us tunes. His name is Billy Matthews. And he knows, how many do you think, 1,000 at
He
least?
probably knows 1,000 tunes off the top of his head. He wrote a book of 500 tunes. I mean, he didn't write the music, but he collected the music. And Jenny and I have learned a lot of tunes from him and his workshops and just gatherings. And that's the way we learned this music, from other people who learned it from other people. And, you know, it just goes back hundreds of years like that.
I don't know where he got it, but it's a good tune. It's called Chicago Waltz. Are you ready? 2, 3. again with another breakdown called North Carolina Breakdown.
I'm going to play a little tune just by myself, if y'all don't mind. This is a new old-time tune.
Please, yes.
Is that all right? Okay. I think some of you might know this one. Just for your information, it's called Ashokan Farewell. It's actually a newly written tune, written in 1973, and a lot of people think it's an old tune, but because it was used for the PBS Civil War series movie, but it is actually a new tune.
Very nice. That's a beautiful tune.
What's his name? Jay.
It's written by Jay Ungar, by the way.
And the movie was The Blue and the Red. Oh, it was the Ken Burns.
Ken Burns.
The Ken Burns Civil War.
Pig Ankle Rag. I'll do a ragtime tune for you now. Pig Ankle Rag.
else want to play a solo?
Yeah, Tom?
Tom has a joke about a dog that went into a bar. What was it? The dog went into a bar. Tell him.
This is what y'all have been waiting for.
I was going to tell a joke about this kind of music. You know, a lot of times we take new songs and put old stuff to them. But what if some of the original makers of songs were making those songs nowadays, like Herman's and the Hermits? Would they be calling that? Mrs. Brown, you had a lovely walker. And how about Willie Nelson? We'd probably be singing. I'm forgetting my jokes here. On the commode again. Can't wait to be on the commode again.
So,
And tell him what was the dog doing in the bar. Tell him what the dog was doing. You just have to wait on that one. He's saving it.
This is a family-friendly crowd,
He's saving
Jenny.
that one for later.
Sometimes we have to.
You'll just have to wonder.
so Charlie, did you know that I have a pen that writes underwater?
You don't mean underwater.
Yeah, it writes underwater and other words too.
Good one. You have to think about that one now. Okay.
real old time sound. It's called Sandy Boys. We're going to do another breakdown called The Horse and Buggy. Oh. And then. So we just got a couple more. You've been a great audience. Thank you for sticking around.
Incidentally, we'll be taking a short break, and then the renowned Roy Bookbinder will be performing. You don't want to miss that. When I mentioned to the library that they could sponsor somebody by the name of Roy Bookbinder, they jumped all over that. I mean, that was so cool, and it's going to be a treat. He is a remarkable musician, been doing this a long time. Old Joe Clark. That's another old tune. This one has 92 verses. We're only going to do about 64 of them. But anyway, here we go. We'll get started. That's the truth. There are words to a lot of these songs. We just haven't shared that with you. Next year we may have some vocal stuff. Thank y'all so much. If you are not on our Arkansas Project email list, if you'll go to the library table and give them your email address, we'll get it on there and you'll get an invitation each time we have something like this going on. Most of these are kind of like this, laid back. We want you to have fun because we sure are. Thanks again for being with us today. Hope y'all come back.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning into that. It was a great concert. Sorry you missed it in person, but I hope you got some of the energy and enthusiasm just from that recording there. And hopefully you'll join us in the future for some Arkansas Highlands folk projects right behind me on the stage here in the auditorium. I know Charlie is working hard to book lots of great and talented musicians from our region. And we're going to have another virtual Arkansas Highlands folk project next month on Tuesday, March 29th at 6 p.m. And that one will be officially live. It won't be a recording like this one. So what do we have in store at that point, Charlie? Or do they need to stay tuned?
Yeah, who knows? It'll be a surprise. No, hopefully Liz will be back with me. We can make some final remarks about the upcoming weekend from that program and get everybody fired up for this special weekend in Hot Springs. And I think it's going to be especially special this year. I really do. So don't miss it.
Thank you.